points contact, so this way he can stay in the loop, the same way we try to keep him in the loop if we have a major issue arise.
That work.
And we need a second to the amendment.
Second.
Wallace,
Okay.
second.
You've heard the motion with the friendly amendment. Any other discussion?
Yes. Can we also add, economic 4B to that meeting?
You can't have a quorum there unless we post it as a meeting, but you can have
A member?
a
From
member
4B?
for be there,
Yeah.
if that's,
And what we'll do, we'll post it just as a precaution. If we're calling it an emergency meeting, then we'll just post it
just
to be
post
safe. Because in case other council members can come as well, we'll cover it. No problem.
I don't, Ms. Williams, may I ask why?
The only reason I ask is because we're also looking into how we can help if we have to spend this $285,000. That's why I said he's looking into it, and that's why I say if it's possible that it can happen, I just wanted somebody from 4B to be there so that they can also be able to come back and tell us exactly what went on. I mean, but if y'all want, okay, that's cool.
I just don't think this is the phase of the project that needs to include economic food.
I mean, that's cool.
Okay, is there a second on Ms. Williams' amendment?
I say,
Okay, so we properly moved and seconded.
I think so.
So you decline the friendly amendment?
Yes. I don't think this is the phase of the project that needs economic 4B. I think once we get past this stage, then economic 4B should be included after that.
Then you won't have to go back into it.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The record shows unanimous. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Randall.
I don't know, do I have to wait for new business to talk about city engineer? Or can I?
yeah, this item is over.
Okay, so inspections. Maybe the city engineer under inspections on item 5?
We got item 5.
Okay,
so we're gonna have, all those people are gonna get together, we're gonna then call an emergency meeting, and then try to go over and then include economic 4B and all those, that's what I heard, is that what everybody?
Yes.
yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. Item 5, discuss, consider, and take action regarding fire services in the city, including but not limited to inspections, reviews, and any work regarding or related to fire issues in the city. What this one is asking, that came out from discussions even out on the site and since, I guess in a sense, people already thought the pressure on the hydrants was being checked, and we're finding out it wasn't. So, how we address that, going forward, even checking others before someone comes in that makes us check them. That's what this is.
I was saying, as far as the dates go, I know my boss is gonna be out of town for Japan on Friday, I think he's gonna be gone for the next 2 weeks. So.
No problem. That's why he left you, Mr. Yu.
Yeah, I know. So if you think it's in the email, like now, but you do have his laptop overseas with him. But as far as information goes, he won't be present.
Yeah. Item 5 on checking the city's fire hydrants for pressures or starting some plan. Council, have any ideas, thoughts on the table? What do you want to do?
I mean, this
This, I don't know, this says a lot of different things, and so, there are 2 or 3 different things in here. So, we have checking of the fire hydrants, but we have, it says inspection reviews and any other regarding or related to fire issues in the city, which means, are we talking about fire marshal designating, whether we have our current fire marshal designated, like that type of thing, because it's also in our packet of information. So what, is that it, or I don't know?
No, this,
They,
yeah, well, what, and it's set that way for a reason. It carries, again, to open up the dialogue. The big concern, and whatever else you might want to discuss that falls within there, is if this project hadn't started in November and they started testing in December, we wouldn't know even today that we have a problem, a PR nightmare, you know, possibly, I don't know. So it's really to throw out, how do we go forward in checking other areas, pressure,
I guess,
even if we carry over,
yeah, I
it's
guess,
just out there.
I guess the question is, how often do we check them now, do we know?
It's my understanding, they had not been being checked. That's how this came out, only because of new development. They haven't, there's been no procedure in the city, ever to check these pressures.
So my second question would be, I have three questions. So my
Yes.
second question would be, whose responsibility is it to check them? Who, is that on the Public Works? Or like, where does that fall?
Well, it takes certain licenses and certifications, Chief. You might be able to speak to that, even to know how to use that, water flow, pressure, equipment and all that.
Mayor, Council, basically, to answer your question, some cities use Public Works. Some cities use the fire department to do hydrant flow testing, water flow, as well as making sure that the hydrant is properly working, making sure that it's up to code. So it's really a judgment of the city.
So is there a specific certification or process or training that the person has to go to in order to, they just, whatever, and it reads it and they record it? What is the process of reading the fire hydrant?
Basically, all you do is you gotta have the instrument to do accurate reading. And you hook up to it, you turn on one hydrant, you get your static reading. You go to the next hydrant, you open that up to get your flow reading. And then you get your residual reading. And every single one of those readings must be recorded. And it must be turned in to the city or, and should be kept on file with the fire department for insurance service evaluation ratings.
So how long does it take to check a fire, like time-wise?
If you have the proper personnel, can I just give you an example?
What's the proper personnel?
Can I give you a quick example?
Yes, please.
When I was with the city of Bel Air, we had 3 shifts, which had roughly 21 personnel. It took us roughly like 3 months to do all the city fire hydrants, because basically, you go to this hydrant, you have a radio, the person go to the next hydrant, and I gotta be able to do my reading, he has to do his reading, so we working together because I can't get my reading unless he does something at the other hydrant. It takes time, and that was on a daily basis. Out here, if you do it, if Public Works would have to do it, I know it would take them a long time. Just Mr. Glover and his counterparts, it would take them
Chief,
a long time.
with you having the experience, could you get with Fire Chief Jackson?
Okay,
I know you mentioned $400 or $500 or give or take whatever for the
For that
proper piece of equipment,
Yes,
the
sir.
instrument that you need. And let us know, because I'd be much more comfortable with you and your experience and the fire department overseeing this and making sure they work, or if you find one that doesn't work, then we can get our guys or
Right.
whoever to help make it work and
Right.
that sort of thing, if there's no water coming to it. And let them bring something back to us with the council as to, you know, whether even if there's a fee, what that fee might be that's, you know, reasonable, because we need to get it done, and I certainly see
I
you
will be
and others.
more than happy to give it Chief Jackson, and I'm gonna share something with you, and hopefully it'll help answer your question as well. Can I see this paper? This is the ISO rating, the Insurance Service Office. This is the rating that they did for the flow test, and this was done in November the 7th, 2017. And it says, witnessed by Insurance Service Office, City of Prairie View, County, Texas Waller. And on this document, and I'll be more than happy to make copies for the attorney as well as the mayor and city council, they show the flow rate, they show the gallons per minute, as well as what's available left over whenever water is flowing, the residual. But they did their flow test at 20 PSI. When we do flow test, we do it at a higher flow test. And so they basically are showing that you don't have the available water that you need to do firefighting purpose. But once again, we need to get the city engineer involved.
Okay, last two questions. The mayor, I agree with the mayor when he says that, we definitely like your expertise when it comes to doing this. Is this a burden that you're willing to take on? I know you have a lot on your plate already, so before we volunteer you, is this something that you are willing to take on?
I would love to take on this project. I am more willing to take on this project. It's gonna take permission from Chief Jackson first, as well as, because basically I'm going to take firefighters, my students, this is all a part of their training, and it gives them the opportunity to understand fire hydraulics and water flow, pressure, how the fire department used the fire hydrant from a standpoint. A red fire hydrant should pump out 500 gallons per minute. Blue fire hydrant should pump out 1,000 gallons per minute. So these are the things that we can do, but I have to get the permission of Chief Jackson. If he bless us to do it, I'll be more than happy to take on this project. And we'll try to get it done in a timely fashion. It's gonna take a little time, but
Mr. Mayor, anybody got it? I move that item 5 be tabled until,
Do you-
board go has it.
Do you want to give any authorization under this item to have them go forward?
He
And,
has to get clearance before.
right, but if he gets clearance, they can even start the project.
Well, we can put it on the next agenda, which won't be that long.
Okay.
I guess my other,
Well, you got a motion on it, you got a second?
I didn't even finish the motion.
Okay.
I move that item 5 be tabled to give Chief Bordeaux an opportunity to go talk to Chief Jackson and, bring back any relevant information as far as the cost of the utensil or, and, anything else that you may need. I would also like,
manpower.
yeah, I would also like, what is the, given, what is the selected or the average check time, like how often should the meters be, should the hydrants be read?
Okay.
If you could bring that back to me as well. Yeah, until the next city council meeting.
Okay.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that item 5, discuss, consider, and take action regarding fire services in the city, including but not limited to inspections, reviews, and any work regarding or related to fire issues in the city, be tabled until Assistant Fire Chief Bordeaux can get with Fire Chief Jackson and bring back the necessary information to council to make a decision on what it would take to do this. You've heard the motion, you ready for the questions? Go ahead, Councilman Cole.
in this proposal, what are we doing with the whole, because it's in here about the fire marshal and that read, because I think it says it went out in 2016, and so what, is that part of this whole thing, or is that something we could do at a different time? Because
That would
it's
be a
in here.
separate matter. Yeah, that would be a separate matter, appointments and things.
Well, okay, but it just says, it's, number 5 says, take action regarding fire services in the city, but not limited to inspections, reviews, and any other work related to fire issues in the city. So that's not that.
No. Any other readiness?
Wait, is this the item we're supposed to talk about the city engineer?
If you can relate it to fire, you can talk about the city engineer. Yes, if you want. You already have.
Can we not carry our motion and then continue discussion on that same item before we go to another one?
No, we have to be in the readiness.
Yeah, we need it in readiness because if they vote on it, then the item's done.
Okay, then, yeah, then go ahead.
I'm I mean, there's not much discussion we really need, if I wanted to put a separate motion about the city engineer, can I do that? I could do that inside of the item, how would that work?
Do you want to put it on at the end when you do agenda items?
New business?
New business.
All right, cool, that's in mind.
And we'll have more information then too to work with specific.
That's in mind.
Any other unreadiness? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Record show it's unanimous. Okay. Item 6, discuss and take action on recent zoning changes in Rosewood subdivision. Mr. Marshall Brown and Attorney Kerwin.
Okay, I'm going to say good night or good evening. Okay, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Wallace for his outstanding work with Vacation Bible School. He does a good job with young kids, so good job. Okay, we've done some research. The attorney has gotten some information on the spot zoning laws. And these are the same kind of things that Dorothy Anderson will bring back from the state meeting every year, a real big notebook of all the legal cases that took place. But I don't know, let me let the attorney give you his definition of spot zoning. Then we'll go from there. Oh, let me pass out, I have some handout. It's getting so late, I have to pass my bedtime.
And the spot zoning is really the next agenda item. This is specifically dealing with Rosewood. Well, and I guess it's somewhat related. So the question came up on.
Yeah, it's related.
It's related. The question came up on Sharon Street. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved a manufactured home to go on that property on Sharon Street. The city council approved that, and a question had arisen as to was that a spot zoning issue, and what was exactly rezoned. So what came to the city was an application for a lot. I think it was a 10,000 square foot lot. The only ones that can rezone a piece of property are the property owners themselves, or the Planning and Zoning Commission can make a recommendation based on a comprehensive plan, and they take it to council, and y'all make the ultimate determination whether something gets rezoned. And so the property owner presented an application to rezone that particular lot based on, and the Planning and Zoning Commission agreed to that based on changed conditions. I believe that was actually in the report that they forwarded to council based on what's in that neighborhood, how that neighborhood looks, what is on that street, that was an appropriate use to rezone that particular lot as a manufactured house. And then council came before council, it was just a recommendation, y'all agreed to that, the council at the time, and then that lot was rezoned. So the question was, what did the city engage in any spot zoning? And I do not believe that the city engaged in any spot zoning at all. And what was rezoned was this particular lot of Ms. McCardle at the time. And so what the case law says is you need to look at your comprehensive plan, you need to make sure that you're not doing anything unreasonable or anything that hurts the general area. So an easy example is if you are in business 290 and you've got a business, a business, a business, a business, a business, a business, a house, a business, a business, a business, and that particular house says, well, I wanted to become a business and change to commercial, you would just change that one lot, okay? It sounds like it's because it's one spot, right? It sounds kind of like spot zoning, but it's not, because it's then in uniformity with what everything else is down that road. So if you go through the Rosewood subdivision, especially when you look at that particular street, Sharon Street, it is, and I drove down it myself, you'll see a manufactured home, a mobile home, a single family residence, a manufactured home, mobile home, maybe a single family. It's all very, it's not even that mix. You see some mixing of single family, The planning commission felt like there was changed circumstances and council agreed to that. So,
I made a sketch of, little map of Sharon Street, so.
Mr. Brown, may I? You were around when the zoning, when the city went into zoning, I believe? When they, you know, when y'all went to different health meetings and that sort of thing?
Right.
Okay, about, was that 8, 9, 10 years ago, something like
We've
that?
always had planning and zoning.
No, when y'all did a zoning, like the zoning map, when you said this area is R1, this area is R2, this is R3.
Okay, this map has changed a number of times.
Right, but when did you first do it? That's what I was trying to get at.
We had a map right from the beginning, the last 20 years, we had a map.
Okay, but didn't you go to, in picking up on Counselor's point, when you set a zone, you all took feedback from the people in that area as to what they wanted, right?
Okay, what we did is, we brought in an expert, what I call an expert. He was a lawyer and also a planner, Dr. Pugh from Texas A&M. And we had a conference with the Planning and Zoning Committee and the council members and the mayor, and the public was invited. And he kind of led us through the first development. The zoning is a support for planning. And so you don't let zoning control your future planning. So first you come up with a master plan, what we call it a comprehensive plan now. And once you have that comprehensive plan, then you use the zoning laws to help to manage and control what's going to happen from that point.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what
Let me see if, I may have a solution, because let me tell y'all what we're dealing with in the office. If we go down this path, every single time someone, and there are at least 8 right now, someone wants to put a manufactured home in that area, we have to go back through this whole process, plan and zone, for individual plots of land by the owner. It was my understanding, and maybe we can just correct it by, you know, a simpler process. If we go through changing the zone to allow for manufactured homes, we won't be dealing with this issue one at a time, because that's what we're dealing with in the office. I think there's about 7 or 8 of them now. So if we change the zone, which is my understanding of what was being done, I had no idea we were changing one piece of property owner's land.
I thought we changed the zone as well.
See, and that would take care of this, allowing for the folks who want to put them over here. We send the notices to the people over in the area and just, you know, get it fixed.
Because the justification for it was the fact that there were all manufactured homes on the entire, in that entire zone, so it was.
well, it's not entirely, there's a mix, but the application that was given to, the application was from the property owner to the planning commission, and that's what y'all had, was the application from the property owner.
And I guess the other thing I'm looking at is the city's history. When I was sitting out there in the last 5, 6 years, when somebody put in an application, an area was zoned, not a piece of property.
Right.
We're going down a very bad track, and we've got people in the past we said no to, who would love to see your documentation on this
So, okay, let me.
in several areas. So can we address,
We have an answer to
solution
all
for
of the
the-
issues that you bringing up, I have an answer to. So let me present it, and then you,
is it gonna change the zone, Mr. Brown? I mean, the whole area?
okay, what we decided is, when Dr. Pugh was here,
Okay?
we did an ordinance that said, at that time it was for mobile homes, now we're gonna apply the same principle to manufactured homes. The difference being, manufactured homes will meet the government code for, prefabricated housing, okay. What we did is, we made a survey of the site on Sharon Street. There are 1, 2, 3, there was 5 mobile homes at one time, and 2 regular homes. Okay, now, two of those homes, I went down there today, and two of those homes two of the mobile homes had been removed, they were old and dilapidated.
Been cleaned
Okay,
up.
so really, in that section, there are more manufactured homes than there are regular homes.
I know, but
Okay, and so now our thinking is, okay,
our who? Who's our?
the committee, planning and zoning committee.
It's a commission, but go ahead.
Well, commission, okay. So we said, okay, we have to treat both sides fairly. Okay, in other words, somebody has a regular home, you don't want to just go put a manufactured home next door to it. Nobody wants to live in a home like that, okay? Have their property. So we said, okay, in this particular case, we're gonna approve this, but we're gonna come back and change that section to a manufactured home zone.
So when
Okay,
someone,
now, we cannot change the zone without going through the process of the property owners
what
being
about,
invited, and they have to submit a form
what
in
about,
order to change
what
it.
about Ezekiel Smith?
Huh?
Ezekiel Smith. It's not in the sharing zone, so when somebody wants to put one on Ezekiel Smith,
So,
we have to
okay.
come back to go through this whole process all over again.
Well, that's what I'm with you, so I want to eliminate that process. Okay, so now if you look at the last page of the handout, not the last page, second to the last page, where it says Rosewood subdivision, developed manufactured home park. And in that park, we wanted to be landscaped, all the manufactured homes turned in the same direction. We want a park building where we can support the kind of things that, you notice a lot of people are using the washateria at the new service station because some of these manufactured homes don't have that kind of thing in it. And in this park building is where kids can play. We had the architecture students to do some sketches of some park equipment that they could make.
This recommendation is to turn Rosewood into.
No, we're just gonna select one section. Those last two streets are dilapidated homes that have been abandoned. So I'm saying, okay, let's just.
The last two
Last
streets?
two streets.
We'll have to go out there and really,
No, you got a new brick home that hasn't even been opened yet.
that's
second
on
to
one
the
side,
last
that's
street.
on one side.
And on the other side, you have Miss Kizzy and 3 or 4 brick homes.
Okay, that's at the front of the subdivision.
No, that's all the way in the back, just before Johnson's the last street.
Okay,
And
well,
this is the second to the
well,
last street.
okay, let's put it like
And
this.
see, we don't own that
So,
property,
we're gonna
so
have to-
we can't do this.
Okay, the only way to do it is the property owners are gonna have to participate.
But, well,
We're gonna invite them to a meeting and present this idea, and if they are in favor of it, then,
you propose
That's
to
not the
turn the entire
no.
neighborhood
No,
into manufacturing.
No, we're just gonna select one part of the neighborhood and make it into a
I
manufacturing.
thought that's what we did with Shannon Street.
No, the Sharon Street is fine, we're gonna make that a manufactured home area, but
And,
we got enough applications, we got more applications than we put on Sharon Street.
yeah, but the reason why we chose, we went forward with Sharon Street, where we didn't change the identity of that community was because there were already mobile homes there. That's not the same
Okay,
case
there are
for
some
the
other
streets.
areas that's similar to that.
So I guess I thought also, there were 2 factors. There are mobile homes already there,
Right,
and then the second factor is the only house on the street her parents owned and they gave the permission for the mobile home to go there. Did I miss that? Alright, so.
And the third, she already put it on there.
Well, yeah, that too. So those are the 3. You're saying that on the other 2 streets, or on one side that we allow that, is that because, and I guess I'm trying to get to the thought process of the solution to this. You're proposing this, he's saying he's proposing this because they have several applications to do similar things in that area of the community that we allow to happen on this street. And We are simply, and so your recommendation from planning and zoning is that it's okay to just do it on